Welcome to another exciting video episode of Robert's Random Ruminations. Hi everybody, it's Robert from Robert's Random Ruminations here, video series. I'm here yet again with another episode of Magic the Gathering deck building. So last time we left you guys, I was in the middle of building a black and white artifact deck, which I realized soon after the fact, unfortunately, wasn't really very good. So be it. The problem with the deck was it just had a lot of meh artifacts in it, and because it's an artifact creature deck, it really is going to be kind of based on those creatures, and I just didn't have anything that great. One of the things, and those of you who've been playing for a while know, you have to have a definitive way of how you're going to end the game, or multiple ways that you're going to end the game and win it. So at the end of the day, when you're playing Commander, you kind of have to think big picture, right? Because it's not just you, it's a bunch of other players. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the second camera. And today we're going to look at a deck I built a little while ago based off Cole the Forge Master. Now, Cole the Forge Master, as you can see, is actually a card that gives two abilities. When another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. So that's part one. The second part is creature tokens that you control that are enchanted or equipped get a +1/+1. So you got two things going on, one thing for the non-token creatures and one thing for the token creatures. So you kind of want a deck that can do kind of both of those things. So red and white, so those are our limitations because of the commander. No problem there. Got a little bit of mana. So here's an option of one of the things you can do. So if you're going to bring in tokens, obviously you have to have something for them to do. And this is a vehicle of crew of 6, and basically it's a 7/11 creature. Now it doesn't have trample or anything, but I'll have things that are enchantments in the deck that give things trample, or auras in that case as well. And either way, I'll basically be able to give this card trample or vigilance or whatever. It can attack every turn. I have little tokens that can use it if I needed to, or something else. And again, if it's enchanted, it can go back to my hand. But even though that's a decent idea, let's see what else we have. This is a maybe keep in this deck pile. So we have a nice little artifact creature. He's nice and cheap. He's 2 mana. So you know, he would affect, if I have a equipment or an aura on him, if I had to bring him back, would it be worth it, right? That's really the question. He's just really actually a mana source. That's really it. He's a little 1/1 mana source. Now, there are cards in the deck that would make it worthwhile for him to come back over and over, but otherwise, he's just something you tap for mana. So he's going to stay in because he is a mana source and a creature, and fairly inexpensive. Need one of these in every deck. So this is basically going to be destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So this basically means, of course, that this is a board wipe, basically, and it's an artifact itself. It does give the other players 1 turn to destroy it before it comes and destroys everything. So it's not an instant global destroy, but it is a card that's going to go possibly around the table, and if no one can destroy it, then the game is everything's basically dead. So that's staying in. That's my destruction. Couple more mana. We can go back here. Pardon me for one moment. Back. So this is another a legendary artifact creature, and this is a Thopter. And this guy has flying, of course, and you can see here that it has, if I sacrifice it, basically until your next turn, target player who was dealt combat damage by hope of this card can't cast non-creature spells. So the value of this is, if it's equipped or enchanted, I can basically use its ability, sacrifice it, and then bring it back to my hand and play it again. Again, it's 1 mana, so nice and cheap to bring back. So we're going to keep that, some more mana. So this is my first equipment that you've seen so far. This one is a Strand Walker, and this guy is a living weapon, so he actually comes in as a creature already. So the idea here is, of course, that he has a 0/0 black germ on him. Equipped creature gets a +2/+4 and has reach, equip of 4. It is expensive at 5, but again, this can be on something and basically be a creature. That creature could die, could attack every turn, and be basically a 2/4 creature with reach. Or I can decide to destroy the creature, put the equipment on something else. I've got options. So it's a good card, very flexible. Obviously, you got to have one of these in a commander deck. Basically, this just allows you to go through and search for an aura or equipment. Put it in your hand, shuffle your library. Got plenty of them to look for. You got to prevent damage from yourself. So I have a damage card. Festival of the Guild Pact is one of the ways I'm doing that. And basically, X damage would be prevent X damage that would be dealt this turn, and then draw a card. So I've got a couple pieces to it. And then, of course, another vehicle that's pretty powerful. But this one is a very important one for the vehicle sub thing in the deck. So the deck isn't really a vehicle deck, but has it as kind of a sub theory. And the idea is with this card is you can make your artifact vehicles into a creature till the end of turn with this card. So this does allow you to make your artifact creatures that would normally be an artifact creature, an artifact creature. Some more mana, another creature with some haste, and that one has trample with a crew of 1. So nice and cheap. This actually is a very flexible little enchantment. So obviously I have a card in this deck, and it's not obvious because I haven't showed it to you, but I have a card in this deck that allows the auras and enchantments to go back to your hand if they get destroyed. This one, target creature can't attack or block. An enchanted creature has plus use 2 mana and sacrifice it, gain 2 life. So what I could in theory do is put this down. So put it on something real cheap, and this goes back to what I was talking about before, right? So, you know, I can go ahead and I wouldn't put it on something that would sacrifice for some other effect, but let's say I put it on this little 1/1, for example, right? So at this point, with my commander in play, because this is a creature, right, and it is equipped, it would go back to my hand at the end of my next turn. So I could sacrifice it, gain 2 life, bring it back next turn, rinse and repeat. So it does work on my cards, and I dropped a couple of cards on the ground, so give me a sec while I pick all my stuff up. One of the problems of playing Magic is, of course, making sure that your stuff doesn't fly all over the place. Anywho, so that is another good card that is a good combo in the deck. So I want to go ahead and show you the card that I'm talking about, which is my Angel. Now this is a fun little card. I tried to make it a commander of its own deck. Unfortunately, again, same colors, right? So it'd fit as a commander in this deck. But unfortunately, yeah, it's a 3/3 flyer with first strike. But it's just whenever a enchantment or artifact, enchantment aura specifically, or a equipment goes to the graveyard, you can bring it back into play. If it went to the graveyard from the battlefield. So I really don't feel that equipments specifically are going to be a huge target to go to the graveyard. Auras, like this one, are. So what you could do with this concept is you could play this multiple times if you have this creature in play. So you kill the creature, sacrifice it, pay 2, gain 2 life. Cool. This takes any card that any aura that goes to your graveyard from play, and basically you can put it back in your hand. So cool. So you can play it over and over, and because it's an offensive or defensive, where you can just take out another player's creature as well, kind of serves multiple functions. Very simple equipment, very inexpensive. It's 2 mana, and you can equip it for 1, and basically the creature gains flying. Now this one actually has as you can see at the bottom, it has a sacrifice ability. So I could sacrifice this card, and it can't be blocked this turn, and then basically sacrifice the creature at the beginning of your next end step. So what you could do with this is you could attach it to a creature. And let's just put it on something a little bit bigger, right? Let's go ahead and say, you know, we'll put it on this one. So this is a 6/6 with an equipment, and we're gonna go ahead and take a little bit extra, you know, chance here. So what we'll end up doing is we're gonna say that we have it equipped twice. So we have 2 equipments on it. So this is now going to be a 6/6 to start with, right? So it's now going to be a 6/6, so it's going to be an 8/10 with trample and flying. So let's say, okay, fine, whatever. They actually also have a flyer, and it is trample, and they managed to pull enough flyers together that it's actually, sorry, this isn't a 6/6 trample. And this is just a 6/6 flyer. It could also be the other artifact. I thought I was holding the other one. Yeah, there you go. This dude. Nope, that's Cruise 6. Where is he? The one with trample. I don't know where he went. But it works either way. So, here we go. Trample haste. Here we go. This guy. Let's do it with this guy. That works better. Both work. Like, so for example, if I did it with this guy, yes, he'd be an 8/10 flyer. The person blocks with a 1/1 flyer, like whatever. Sacrifice this one. He's now unblockable until end of turn. Because it is an equipment, if I have my Angel out, it can go just right back to my hand. Again, fairly cheap. And because the creature would still be equipped at that point, even if it's being sacrificed at the end of turn, which it is for the ability, it also would go back to my hand because it's still equipped. with another thing, or you can put an aura on it or whatever. So it works that way with that creature. It also works very inexpensively here. This is a 4-mana trample with a crew of 1. So even if you have any 1, it's a 6/1 trample haste. So you can tap it, you could equip it. So you're talking equip of 1 for the flying, and a 2/4, which is equip of 4. So you might not want to use this one as much, but now you have a 6/1 flyer who you can sacrifice and make unblockable completely. Now you might want to put something on it like this enchantment instead, and this one's cheap, 2 cost. To equip it, it's 2, so you can equip it this. So you're talking 3 mana total with 1 crew, and now you're going to have a 7/2 flyer that could be unblockable. So very straightforward, and the creature has vigilance, not that that will matter, but basically that would mean 2 of the cards would go in, would be unblockable, be trample, would do 7 damage, and then 2 of those cards would go right back to your hand. You could do it all over again. So that's kind of the idea of the deck. As we kind of go through it, just to kind of pull out some cards that might not be worth it. We have, a Wild Field Scarecrow that gives you some mana. Again, you can equip it, make sure that it works. One card that worked a little bit but didn't work really well. Well, it worked well, but it was actually countered in the last time I played this deck. It's destroy target creature that's blocked, and then it gains trample. So it only works with target blocking creatures, so you'd have to be on the attack. So you'd attack with one of your big creatures, it gets blocked, you destroy that creature, now all the damage goes through. This is a great little creature. He's a little expensive to play because he's 4 mana, but he's Fabricate 2. So you equip him, he goes back to my hand, so he's a little expensive to play back out, but he's fabricating, and you could literally do this almost every turn. And I was doing it until it got kind of ruined, but because, again, it is a little expensive, so it's not really an early game play. But if I was doing the sacrifice creature card, this one, where I could sacrifice it to get 2 life, then I could basically go back in and sacrifice it, and basically it goes to the graveyard, comes back to my hand because it is equipped, and basically then gain the 2 life, and then play it again, fabricate again, rinse and repeat. Now I would have to have 8 mana for that, because it's 4 for the creature, 2 to bring this into play, and 2 to use its ability. So it'd be 8 mana each turn. Obviously in Commander that's doable, but that would be literally it. Would it be worth it to gain a whole bunch of tokens? Even if it's 2 tokens, meh. So it might not be worth it, but it is a little side thing you can do if you're desperate. And again, we also have this creature that is also a vehicle that also would work well. It is a crew of 2, 4/3, so it'd be a 5/4 with trample whenever it attacks. So it's a pretty decent little vehicle. A couple pieces of mana as usual, of course. Now this is a nice little card, is we have a creature deck that's pretty heavily auras and equipments. Whenever you play a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on him. So he's kind of nice to have if you have a lot of non-creature spells you're playing, sorceries, instants, or equipments, artifacts, auras. They count. They're not creature spells, and basically you get this guy pumped up a little. He's also trample. Put equipment on him. Again, bring him back. Draw card mechanism. Got to have those. This is a nice little side feature. This is a little one where it's just put 3 1/1 red creatures into battle with haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Now here's the interesting thing, and this is a side theme of the deck that actually worked really well. Let me see if I can find it here really quickly. Now I do have a human theme, so I do have tap 3 target humans, tap 2 target humans, and you can basically tap a target creature an opponent controls. So that's a little side theme here of humans. I need to check the balance of humans in the deck just to make sure, because I also have the Gallows at Willow Hill, where you tap 3 humans. You destroy a target creature, its controller puts a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So you need a lot of humans, and there are a bunch, but I'm not sure if I feel that there's quite enough in the deck to make it worth its while. But the idea is here, and this is an interesting one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the Luminous Broodmoth. Now this is the subcategory. If I don't get out my big commanders combo using auras and enchantments, I can use him as well to bring things back. Whenever you control without flying dice, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. So it allows me to bring creatures back, the same thing. So what it can do is this works on anything, because basically how it reads is when a creature you control dies without flying dies. So if these get sacrificed, so they are all dying, they would actually come back into play. So there would be 3 1/1 flyers that are permanent at that point. For the cost of 3 mana, that's not too bad. to get 3 1/1 flyers in a deck, especially as you know, flyers can win the game. Some other things I have that are kind of helpful. This one is just whenever I cast an artifact, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it can deal 1 damage to each opponent. Obviously, with a lot of equipment in the deck, that kind of works. Basically, I have an enchantment that allows target creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. It's great for a commander, because what's going to happen is the other person's going to most likely try and destroy the commander or kill it themselves so they can bring it back and use its ability. Otherwise, you're neutering their commander completely at this point, right? So if you have this ability on them and they have no way of destroying the creature, you're good to go. But if they do destroy the creature and you lose the enchantment, if you have the angel in play, you can basically return it back to your hand and have it to play again at a later point. Again, it's fairly cheap, so it's good type of cards to have in the deck. So that's kind of the... And we're back for part 2. Sorry about that. My storage was full, so there you go. So we'll start the recording back up with the audio and, of course, the video below. Or the video above or around, however you want to put it. So anyways, as I was saying, the concept of the deck I feel is pretty sound. There is, again, as I mentioned, something I'm going to have to do, which is make sure that there's enough humans. Another human right here, human. So make sure that the human population of the deck is at least half of the creatures in the deck, because the other half of the deck is going to be dwarves. So this is a great dwarf card. This is kind of where I got the idea, besides the commander, for the deck, where it's create X2/1 red dwarf berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of vehicles you control plus the number of equipments you control. For each of those tokens, you may attach equipment you control to it. So basically, it allows you to put all your equipments on these dwarves. It just came into play, all of them. Then there's going to be, there could be a lot, especially if you have a lot of equipments to equip them with, plus a lot of vehicles. So you could literally create an instant army. Now, they won't, of course, have haste unless the equipment you attached onto them does give them haste, which I do have a couple in the deck. So you could have 5 or 6, no big deal. You automatically have 5 or 6 creatures of varying powers and strength that just popped out onto the board. It could win you the game. So that is one of the win scenarios, is being able to do that. So that's one idea of the deck that allows you to win the game in that method. The other way, of course, is through getting enough creatures out where you have enough flyers. The other thing you can also do is make, your moth's going to come out and do its thing. So that's another piece of it. You can win with the vehicles, because a lot of them have trample or just huge. So that will come into play. So you have a couple of different ways of winning the day, a couple of powerful creatures that will really help you win the day as well while you defend yourself. But as I said, I will go through to make sure the balance of the deck is humans or not, to make sure that balance is useful. Trying to remove some of the creatures that may not be as good that aren't human, add some humans that are valuable. But again, it's weird colors, it's red and white, so there's not a lot of humans that are red and white that aren't the same ones over and over again. So let me know what you think of the deck, what your thoughts are on how it's built. Maybe even mention what cards you think you would put into the deck if it wasn't, if I wasn't doing it, if you were doing it, what cards you would put in. So let me know, and we'll talk to you guys next time. And we'll go ahead and stop the video, and you guys have a great afternoon. Bye. And thanks for listening and watching another episode of Robert's Random Ruminations. Check out my Booksy site as well as my blog at robertsrandomruminations.wordpress.com, and of course my regular podcast at Robert Random Ruminations as well. So check it all out, and we'll talk to you guys next time.